Good morning and welcome to the Bowling University studio from the International Bowling Campus in Arlington, Texas. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kelly Bednar and I'll be your host for this episode of the Bowling University Tuesday Morning Profit Break. The Tuesday Morning Profit Break is an opportunity for sharing insights on how to grow revenue, reduce costs, and enrich yourself, your team, and your business. We have another great show to share with you today. We welcome our new viewers and welcome back those of you joining us again. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your busy day, so grab your cup of coffee or your favorite morning beverage, and let's get started improving your profitability. Today, we have with us an industry veteran and a longtime friend, Rick Heim. Rick has over 40 years experience in the restaurant, bowling, and entertainment industries. After 40 plus years of the industry, 20 of which with Brunswick, he helped Main Event Entertainment grow from 3 to 8 locations. After consulting for several years, he is now partner in Spare Time, Texas. Rick, thank you for joining us and in the studio and sharing some of the knowledge of your bar trends and things that could help operators get more profitable.
My pleasure to be here with you today, Kelly.
I know that we have done this many times, me picking your brain for periods of time, especially on this topic. So let's just dive in and play like we're having one of those conversations.
Sounds like happy hour.
There you go. What do you see as one of the greatest challenges for bar owners today?
Well, this goes back probably 5 to 10 years, but the general challenge would be staffing, and it seems to be increasing in urgency every year. So it's always been a transient position where people, they're bartenders and servers while they're in college, and then maybe they move on to another career. That still exists. But through 2020 and 21, we lost 1.7 million people out of hospitality. And we just don't have the numbers applying that we had 5 years ago. So as always, the best way to recruit is to keep the people that you have first. And secondly, to promote from within. So if you can take somebody that's a party host or a guest service rep or a game room attendant, and they age into an area where they can become a bartender or server, have understanding and love for your culture, that's the best way that we can overcome that challenge. And then we have to get creative. We have to consider things like recruiting bonuses and sign-on bonuses, things that we maybe never thought about 5 years ago, but we just can't keep doing the same thing from a recruiting standpoint for our bar team members as we did 5 years ago. It's just not working.
So you mentioned recruiting. That's the pool of opportunity to choose from. So now that you've got your pool of people, how do you select the best people?
Excellent question. I think that people that work in the position probably are going to give you the best feel for if a new candidate is right for the team. So including bartenders and servers in the interview process is critical. They can kind of smoke out those that are not going to work well in the position that they're applying for, be it bartender or server. Some other suggestions would be, you can learn a lot from people at play. So in your interviewing process, you might consider just having team members come together, candidates come together, and bowl for a half an hour and see how they interact with one another. Because you want bartenders and servers that connect with people, and if they can't connect with their fellow team members, it's unlikely that they're going to connect with your guests.
Oh, good point. Now, you had mentioned that one of the ways to attack this lack of staffing is to do so with retention. And so what are some of the strategies to retention? Do you do that through better onboarding, better training? What suggestions do you have there?
Well, I think ongoing training, not just bringing somebody on, giving them their 5 or 6 shifts of training, and then forgetting about their development is going to keep people around. You want to help them grow in their careers. So ongoing training. So we have dozens of on-demand courses available through BPAA. Continuously suggesting your team members taking those courses this bar and server area makes sense, and paying for that. And then as they develop more skills in other areas of the business, rewarding them financially, rewarding them with better shifts. A player should always get the A shifts. That's ways to make sure that you keep your top talent.
Oh, good point. We could talk about staffing all day long, but I'm going to shift gears here a little bit. Let's talk about something we talked about off the air just a little bit about, you had something about portion control, and I was like, I always thought of it as a profitability, but you had mentioned something totally different on the portion control.
Yes. So portion control, we all know it from the food side of the business. I think we live it pretty well on that side of the business. Sometimes we get a little bit lax on the bar side of the business, but it's in some cases, it's even more important than portion control on the food side of the business, because if we overportion liquor, we could get somebody to an intoxication level faster than they would anticipate, because people tend to know their own limits in that regard. It's also important from a consistency standpoint. So, if I make your margarita with a 1 ounce pour of tequila, and Kelly makes it with a 2 ounce pour, those margaritas are going to taste completely different. And the guest that comes in and has those on one visit and the next visit's different, they don't really know what our margarita tastes like, because maybe it was supposed to be 1.5 ounces. That's just one example. But to control your cost, detailed recipes have to be written for every drink, and every ingredient in that drink has to be included, right down to the cherry or the Pepsi that goes into that drink. Every single thing has to be calculated, so we know the cost of everything, and every drink has to be replicated the same way, including, my friends, the ice portion.
Oh, which brings us to another. So how can we have profits leaking out of our bar operations? Because I know that's a big one for you.
Well, not only is consistency impacted when we don't maintain an ice portion, but profitability is, because now we're going to have to add a lot more mixer to that drink. We impact guest satisfaction negatively because they think that we're pouring weak drinks. That's one way that profit leaks. Waste is another way that profit leaks. So typically that'll happen on the beer side of the business, and especially on the wine side of the business if you pour wine. So you've got to really be cognizant, if you pour wine, about the dates that you open bottle, using tools like a vacuum bin to maintain that wine for a longer period of time. But I think the biggest leak that I see in the bar side of the business is not pouring a collar on draft beer. And it seems to be almost systemic throughout our industry, especially bowling. Beer tastes better when there's a collar. And we make a lot more profit when there's a collar on a beer. So if there's one thing that you should focus on from a leak standpoint, it would be that product. And then making sure that you have operational procedures in place and you adhere to them to make sure that you don't have leakage from theft. The bar business is known for it. It's not that difficult if management is not watching for it and testing for it on a daily and shift basis, and it exists. And you're naive if you think it doesn't exist in your bar business.
Well, thanks for sharing that. So now we've talked staffing, we've talked about profitability. Let's think about revenue for a little bit. What are some of the trends that are happening that you're seeing in the industry today?
Well, the bar business is exciting. It really is. There's a plethora of new products out there that are quite tasty. So I'll just touch on some. We all know that the hard seltzers, right, are just blowing up. Taking share from wine and ciders mostly. These are drinks that are considered a little bit healthier than a beer or a cocktail, and then they likely are. We try to suggest that we use Truly, because Boston Beer is a BPAA Smart Buy partner, and we want to We want to scratch the back of those that help us. So that's one trend. The next big trend, I would say, is that liquor sales are increasing at a much faster rate than beer sales or wine sales, and you really want to take advantage of that. So specialty cocktails are an area to focus on. And look, you don't have to have a mixologist on your staff. Today, you can do searches in 1 hour and find great suggestions for mixed drinks. You should also tap into your current staff, ask them what they would like. Maybe they can create some drinks that would be right for you, and focus on advertising and marketing your specialty cocktails, and then focus on also brown liquors, which are going to be your whiskeys and your scotches, blends and bourbons, if you will, because those are selling and taking share from clear liquors like vodka and gin. So focus on the brown liquors as well.
So now we got these different types of things that are going out there, these trends, but I've seen your website, been to your center many times. You are one of the best promoters I've seen. So what are some of the effective promotion tactics that you're using right now?
Well, we package liquor in with bowling and quite often with food. So packaging anything makes it easy for the client or the guest to buy. It also increases our check average. Putting a couple of drinks in with a casual play package, or including drinks in a Boston beer bowling ball league, that is a way to force the sale in the bar. And then specials are a necessity. If you want to develop business Monday through Thursday in the bar, you're going to have specials. If you've been behind the bar, you know that the first question most guests ask is, what are your specials today? And while we might feature things on the weekends when we're at peak pricing, on weekdays we have no problem having drink specials to draw in that crowd that is price conscious, and especially the late night crowd of retail workers and college students is very price conscious. So we try to attract them with some aggressive specials.
Okay, well, specials leads us kind of to we only have time for one more question. So any tips you can give on pricing?
Yeah, a couple. One, keep track of your costs on a regular basis. There was a time that liquor, for instance, did not go up often. It is now. So making sure that you do cost and pricing reviews for your own center two times a year at least is critical. And then more importantly, getting out in the marketplace and understanding what competitors and like businesses are charging for similar drinks is critical, because pricing should be based more off the market than it should be off the cost. And there's opportunities there because, look, we're all faced with increasing costs, and there's an increasing demand, thankfully, on the bar side of the business. So that leads to a pricing opportunity.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing just a few minutes of the 90-minute presentation that you share at our Bowling University Management Schools with us.
My pleasure.
I would like to encourage you, all of you watching today, to visit Rick's website and see his center at sparetimetexas.com. They do a wonderful job, and you might get some great tips just by visiting his website. Or you can connect directly with Rick or email him at info@sparetimetexas.com. As we wrap up another edition of the Tuesday Morning Profit Break, remember that when your focus is on growing people, people will grow your business. We look forward to seeing you next week at 10:15 Eastern for another great episode of the Tuesday Morning Profit Break. If you have any questions about today's show or would like additional information, you can reach us at any time at education@bpaa.com. Also, you and your team can watch our previous episodes 24/7 by visiting bowlinguniversity.net. Until then, I'm Kelly Bednar, and do what you wish you could do for everyone. See you next week.